into Create Kids. If you normally follow me, you might have noticed that I took 2 weeks off, but it was Christmas break for me, and everybody needs a break sometimes. But now that I've had that break, I am ready to go and get back into this word. So this week, we are going to be learning about how to stay close to Jesus, since we know through the word that it says that he's always going to be with us. But just because he's there doesn't mean we're going to be close. We have to put in a little bit of work so that that relationship can be good. Because, sometimes you could live in a house with somebody that you barely talk to, right? And we don't want to be like that with Jesus. So our verse for today is Matthew 28:20, and it says, "Teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I have given you, and be sure of this, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." So there isn't really like an actual Bible story that goes along with this, like how in pretty much all of my other videos, I'll explain a Bible story, go through what it means, what's happening in the story, and then I'll break it down to explain why it's important. I don't have that this week, but stick with me because what we are going to learn is super, super important. Okay? So everybody knows that famous people are like a big deal, right? But they don't get famous overnight. It takes discipline. And I don't mean the kind of discipline like when you get in trouble and you get disciplined by your parents and like you get grounded or whatever. Like that's not what I'm talking about, okay? What I'm talking about is a discipline or like a practice that you do, like if you play sports or an instrument, like you have to practice those things. So that's the discipline that I'm talking about. And as Christians, there are a few different disciplines or practices that we should learn, and they are called spiritual disciplines, okay? So Jesus promised to always be with us, but it might not always feel like it, especially if you've never tried to be connected to Jesus before. Like, you go to church and you hear about him and people talk about him, you learn the stories, but it's very different when you try to have, a personal relationship with him. Just like, you have your friends or your siblings or whatever, you guys don't get close until you guys start talking and hanging out and playing together and doing different stuff. Until you start interacting with that person, you're just kind of like, oh, like there's that human being over there, right? So in order for us to be close to Jesus, we have to learn these spiritual disciplines and then actually do them. And that's what will really connect us to him. So, and even though you're young, that doesn't mean that these aren't for you, okay? And I know that's a little bit different because, normally kids aren't taught what spiritual disciplines are. But I think that it's more important for kids to learn them because you need them when you grow up, just like you need reading and writing and knowing how to do math and stuff. Like you need all those things when you grow up, so you learn them as a kid. And you need spiritual disciplines as a grown-up, so you have to learn them as a kid, right? So a discipline, like I've said, is similar to something like practicing a sport or an instrument, right? You have to do it even when you don't feel like it. And that's what makes it a discipline. The fact that you do it even when you don't feel like it. So when you are in school, like, kindergarten and preschool, you have to learn how to write your name, right? That's like one of the first things most kids learn how to do is to write their name. But before you learn how to write your name, there are a couple of other things you have to learn, right? You have to learn your alphabet. You have to learn how to hold a pencil. And you have to learn how your name is spelled. And once you learn all of those things and you put them together, then you're able to write your name and you're able to write it the right way. And that's how spiritual disciplines work. You learn them all. And as you learn them all, you're able to learn how to connect to Jesus the right way. Because, there's a right way and a wrong way. In a sense, like, everything that you do to connect to Jesus is good, but sometimes you can be trying the wrong way and then you don't get the right results. Like For example, myself. A lot of times I would pray, but it would just, I would just say, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep if I should die before I wake. I would pray that prayer, and I wasn't close to Jesus because I wasn't really talking to him about like my day and how I felt and what I was thinking. Like, so that's what I mean. Like you can go through the motions of, talking to Jesus, but until you really open up to him and really tell him what you're thinking and how you feel, you're not really going to connect to him. So I want us to learn how to do these spiritual disciplines the right way. That way they work. Okay? So there are 6 of them. Okay? The 6 disciplines are learning how to pray, like what I just talked about a little bit, having quiet time, worshiping, studying, fasting, and serving other people. Okay? Or serving God. And some of those might seem simple. I know you don't know what they are yet, but over the next couple of weeks, we're going to learn each one. Like each week, we're going to learn a different one. So you guys will get them. Okay. But, they might seem simple. Like when I said quiet time, you're like, oh, I know how to do quiet time. I just go in my room and be quiet. But that's not all there is to it, because you can't just sit in your room and not talk but play with your toys. That's not how quiet time with Jesus works, okay? So we're going to learn how to do them the right way. And I just want to recap, because we're pretty much done. I just wanted to introduce you to what spiritual disciplines were and like what discipline is in, what we're going to be talking about. That way, over the next few weeks, we can break each one down, okay? So what we learned today is that spiritual disciplines are what we do to get close to God and to stay close. They are something that we should do even when we don't feel like it. Even if it seems super simple, there is a right and a wrong way to do it, which is why we have to learn the right way. And it doesn't matter how old you are. You can learn them. And when you begin to work on them, it's going to help you grow closer to God, like as soon as you start working on them. And I'll be honest with you, when I was little, I did not learn these. So now that I'm a grown up, like I'm just now learning what these are. The past couple of weeks. I've known that I was supposed to pray, and I know that I'm supposed to read my Bible and study and stuff, but I never learned them the correct way, which is why we're here. That's why I'm here. And I cannot wait for the next couple of weeks to just really explain these things to you guys in a way that you can get, so that you can start using them and you can start building a really, really, really exciting, really good relationship with God. So stick with me, tune in for the next couple of lessons, and I promise you are gonna be blown away. Your whole life is gonna change if you actually start doing some of this stuff, okay? I will see you guys next week.